All things are possible when God is involved in what you are doing. Faith in fitness. What does it mean to me? Well, when I started this journey, I wanted to use my body the way God designed it to be used. I've been working in gyms for a long time, and I saw things that didn't really make a lot of sense. People were abusing their bodies, and they became very superficial. They were focusing on things that didn't matter, that don't matter in the long run. But I wanted to step outside the box. I wanted to create something that not only benefited me, but glorified God. And I think that's a big thing that is missing within an industry like ours, because at the end of the day, the very first activity ever given was a physical job to Adam. God gave Adam labor to do, and it was an exercise, and he delighted in it. It was a blessing to him. And I think that's a big thing that is missing, is that we are not exercising to benefit holistically our bodies. We might go for runs and do a bit of bodybuilding here and there, but we're not doing the things that our forefathers and our ancestors have done for thousands of years. They lived a lot longer than we did at certain points, and that's because of what they ate and how they worked. So I created something after a lot of trial, and I found that I read in Patriarchs and Prophets. I was using Patriarchs and Prophets as a reference, and how Ellen White talks about what it is, how much of a blessing exercise is, and how we are supposed to do it. So I started thinking about what Adam had done. I started thinking about the work that he had done in the garden. And once I started developing these exercises, once I started putting it into practice and playing around with them a little bit, there were people in my workplace that were actually paying attention. There were people seeing me train in a way that they hadn't seen before. And it was funny because I developed more interest in my first 2 weeks of just doing something that just I learned from Patriarchs and Prophets and using God as my reference than I ever did before. And people were paying attention to that, and they were asking questions. And I found that once that door has opened, if you start doing a work that glorifies God, you might not have to talk about God, but that opportunity will turn up. And there's no greater industry to do it in than the health industry. Because at the end of the day, as Adventists, that is a massive part of our mission, the health message. So God will use what we have to glorify Him. It'll always go back to Him. When you start using your body the way that God designed it, incredible things happen. In my first 3 weeks of doing the training, my strength went up, my health went up. I just felt a lot better. I felt stronger. And I wasn't doing any fancy bodybuilding moves. I wasn't doing any HIIT training. I wasn't doing any of this fancy stuff. I was just doing real work. I was using my body the way it is meant to be used. And I found that once I started doing that, and then people were asking questions, I saw a very big need in it, because when people start understanding, and when people find out that you are a Christian, and that your training style is developed from a Christian method, it starts to spark interest, and it starts to spark questions, because people don't see Christians as strong people, they see them as weak and pathetic. So that's why I do what I do, and I'm continuing to do what I do. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy in a big corporate environment, in a big business, multi-million-dollar industry as the fitness industry is, but it is always achievable, because you can do all things through Christ that strengthens you and benefits you. All things are possible when God is involved in what you are doing.